Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have.
The last video we did on Ethan Crumbley was about him requesting to go to a juvenile detention center instead of staying in adult jail. And the judge has now come back with the hearing today and denied that, saying for at least the next month and for the time being, Ethan Crumbley will stay in the adult facility. And his quote from the court was, "The court has not been presented with any new information to disturb its March 1st order." So basically he's saying nothing has happened to make him change his mind and change what's happening in the case. And at this point, it is what it is, and he's going to stay in the adult facility. But more interestingly, in my opinion, is the fact that the Oxford school where the shooting took place, who is being sued for $100 million by victims' families, has asked the court to stay, meaning pause, the civil case while the criminal case is ongoing until it is brought to a resolution for Ethan Crumbley and for his parents. We've talked a lot on this channel about how the civil case and the criminal case can interact, can run at the same time, and how sometimes they can affect each other. And most of the time, people in the chat think the criminal case should be finished first before the civil case happens because the criminal case is more important. Justice needs to be served there, and it gets the most at-fault party. So before I get to what the judge determined and weighed in this case, what do you think? Do you think all the civil lawsuits that have come and are coming for Ethan Crumbley, his parents, and the school should be stayed and paused until after the criminal case? And if you think they should, write stay in the chat or in the comments. And if you don't think they should be paused and they should be able to go at the same time, then just write go in the live chat and the comments if you're watching later, because I really want to know what you think, just generally speaking. If you think in these circumstances, the civil case should be put on the back burner and wait until the criminal case is completed. So what does the judge weigh in this case? The judge looks at whether or not this civil case will be a detriment or negatively affect the criminal case. And there's a number of different ways that can happen. First off, it can bring media attention to the criminal case that may make it difficult for them to handle their investigation. Secondly, if the civil case brings other parties that could potentially have wrongdoing, then it could make it difficult to convict the actual criminal defendant or the person that's criminally liable. And they don't want a situation to come up where a civil case is creating reasonable doubt in a criminal case and maybe creating a potential defendant for the criminal defendant to point the finger to. They also don't want it to delay the criminal case because of judicial economy, as we've spoken about in the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. So that is really the biggest thing and the biggest reason why you would stay a civil case. But there is no rule, there is no mandate that you have to wait for a criminal case to finish before your civil case gets going. Because on the other side, why you wouldn't stay or pause the criminal case, pause the civil case for the criminal case, is because you're delaying justice. Criminal cases can take 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 years sometimes to come to fruition. And you're telling the victims or their families in certain circumstances that they have to wait to get retribution, to get justice against maybe not even, and that's the point, is they're suing the school who has no criminal charges against them. So the school is not having to pay for what they did. And they're getting to delay the case this entire time. And that's not fair. And so in certain circumstances, even if you are weighing this and doing this balancing act, you do have to weigh the rights of the potential victims. But in this case specifically, it is even more apparent that the judge should not stay the civil case, because Ethan Crumbley is not going to say I didn't do it. Ethan Crumbley is going to plead insanity. And whether or not he's insane, whether or not he's not guilty by reason of insanity, whether or not his parents are guilty or not guilty for their involvement, does not affect the school's civil liability. And it's not like they need to determine the criminal outcome before they can prove civil liability on the school's part. Therefore, I think the judge made the right decision in denying the school's motion to stay this case and to pause this case. The judge said, no, the civil case can continue at the same time as the criminal case. And again, some judicial comments here that are always very important because we get into the mind of the judge. Goldsmith rejected the request, saying that he was not aware of any risk that the civil lawsuit would interfere with the criminal cases. Additionally, it is in the public interest for the plaintiff's alleged injuries to be remedied in a timely manner. If plaintiffs can go make their case, then do it. And that right there is the most important part. We have these conversations with our clients all the time as to whether or not we want to wait to pursue this civil case until the criminal case is done. Because in this scenario, we may tell our clients, the plaintiffs, we don't want to hurt the criminal investigation either, especially if the person we're suing is the criminal defendant. If we go get that conviction, then it's per se negligence or even per se an intentional tort. We may be able to get punitive damages. So a criminal conviction can actually help the civil case sometimes. But in this case, that's not the case. The criminal case would just delay the civil case. But I think it should always be the decision of the victims in the civil case as to whether or not they want to wait until the criminal charges are done on advice of counsel or whatever they feel is best or not. And if they don't want to wait, it's their prerogative to bring that civil case, to go forward, and it's their right to file these civil lawsuits, take the case to court, take the case to trial, and move forward and get their civil justice in a timely manner. And that absolutely is the right of the civil plaintiffs, in my opinion. Most of you in the chat did not agree with me at first, at least, and you said stay, which in some circumstances I would agree with you. And sometimes I advise my clients we should wait until the criminal case is over before we really go gung-ho and guns blazing on a civil case. Sometimes the civil case comes first, like in the Deshaun Watson situation, it can bring about a criminal case. So every situation when you have a civil case is different, which is why they don't have a rule saying you have to wait until all criminal cases that are associated with the civil claim are resolved before you bring your civil case. So let me know in the comments now and in the chat if you have any questions about the Ethan Crumbley case. I'm going to go through those questions, and then we will jump to the Sunny Balwani case. Yeah, there's a lot of agreement now. Every situation is different, as you say. Gina G, the school is definitely liable. I agree from everything I've seen. I think they're absolutely liable. I'll take a minute here while the questions are still coming in and the comments are coming in and say, if you haven't liked the video already, take a second to like the video. If you want to get in the chat, go subscribe to the page so you can get in the live chat, or just subscribe to be nice so you can be part of our subscriber list. So go do that if you haven't already. Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of votes for stay. Stay. Expat. Stay. Seems like a no-brainer, but maybe it's a trick question. You're right. You've been here before, haven't you? Stay. Yeah, Bodhi. You've taken this stance in some of the other ones, and I always agree with it. Innocent people are arrested all the time. The presumption of innocence is real in our country. Stay. Expat, could the same judge be the judge on the civil and the criminal case? Not usually. I guess technically if it was a federal judge, maybe they could. In this case, there's a federal judge in the civil case and a state judge in the criminal case. It's very, very unusual. I would say no, that would never happen. But I don't know if theoretically it's impossible. But in this case, they're different jurisdictions too. And Bodie, in certain circumstances, yes, it would give the civil case more power if they waited for a conviction, but in this case, really not. Another stay vote. I see your point of not staying it. Bodie agrees. Is there a chance he wins an appeal? I don't know what you mean by he. If you mean Crumbley, let's wait and see what happens at trial before we say that. Hey, Dirty Rick. All right, so I think I hit all the comments and the questions on Crumbley.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you like this content, please share it with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to our page and like our videos. If you want some interaction, get in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to know any more information about our firm or this page, you can find out in the description or visit tragoslaw.com. We post multiple times throughout the week, so make sure you hit that bell so you can get the notification and not miss out on the next episode.